Hello, my name is Devon Hendricks. I'm coming to you to talk about my final presentation for OL 650, excuse me. I will be presenting my final presentation on the Porter 5 forces that um, include the strategic statement as well as the organizations, which is Artist Collective. I chose Artist Collective because I'm familiarized with Artist Collective, and I have been for some time now. The statement also um, focus on the 4D analysis, the four elements um, that's broken down within the company, and it includes the competitive logic, as well as it focuses on goals, as well as focusing on the, excuse me, focusing on the structure of the organization and involves with initiative, as well with the Porter 5 forces that includes elements of the buyer, supplier, rivalry, competitors, um, um, as well as the threats of substitute or the threats of to entry, um, which the entry is like focused on the barriers. I keep saying it's not, but bear with me. So, Artist Collective was obviously founded by Dolly McLean and Jackie McLean. It's been serving throughout Hartford County. Artist Collective really inspired me to become the man I am today, as well as being working with the community and giving back to the community. But getting into the topic, some of, I want to say, let's start with the plan, really. So, all right. The competitive logic is pretty much a great tool to understand how the organization will compete in the future, as well as compete in long term, the next 3 to 5 years. Um, Artist Collective will compete with local performances and performance arts organization, but to compete, you got to maintain that environment of having multiple, I want to say, ideas and multiple funding and multiple way to create revenue. Some of the goals for Artist Collective, goals is pretty much to set standards for a business to achieve their goals. Also, it separates into financial goals and single goals. Artist Collective ran into some financial problems due to funding cuts, and trying to maintain a balanced revenue throughout the last 2 years. Some goals can be set for this organization, long term and short term. So short term goal for the organization is to raise, 100 $1 million to pay off debt. Long term goal is, getting, repeatable funding for the organization and create a multi-step plan. A single goal is to maintain employee benefit matching 401k plans and bonuses every 2 to 3 years. Some the organization structure, it align people to promote the fit, the to its, competitive logic and goals. So some of the factors that Artist Collective can work on structuring is pretty much full-time grant writers, having full-time fundraiser, collaborating with other performing art schools, and program development. Some of these structures, have to do with a lot of financial drivers, but for the organization, but these structure is to help break down, the financial, push to make decision making. So an action plan for Arts Collective is, the layout, what the plan is, implement the new strategy to the organization, go over the structure of the elements, and make sure it's a nonprofit business, so have value, greater meaning to the company to promote and provide a safe place for youth and children. Going over the 5 forces, the supplier. In this case, I would say Artist Collective is the supplier. They are supplying the need for the children, supplying the demand for African modern and jazz era. Artist Collective promotes that supply and charge for that program. So the supplier have the ability to capture more values in the market by changing higher prices for themselves. So with that being said, Arts Collective done in charge, I want to say students, I feel as though Arts Collective charged students prices, like it was crazy prices for classes where Artist Collective could have charged, I want to say, different prices for like renting out space, to make up dividends for that way students that have to pay so much for classes. That was one of their issues. The buyers. When it comes down to the buyers, that's like not just with parents buying into the organization, buying the cost for classes and whatnot. When I look at the buyers, I'm looking more so as how can Artist Collective reinnovate themselves by having somebody buy into the company, or looking for different vendors to rent out their space. You know what I'm saying? I think that's where a lot of revenue could come from, especially when it comes to I lost my train of thought. Especially when it comes to promoting dance space, promoting concerts, promoting the arts like theater, any type of musical. Is a performing arts building. So you have the space, you have the ticket booth, you have the structure to promote for new revenue to come in by buyers that's not necessarily parents, but other organizations that can use your space. Rivalry, competitors, I would say some of their competitors are I'm saying it wrong, but Kennelly School of the Arts, the Greater Hartford Academy of the Arts, and the Art Institute of Connecticut. Some of these competitors are people that's promoting the same thing, but also making sure that their prices is down, so that way students would stay with them as well, not go to the next vendor, the next person that's doing the same thing. Some threats to entry. I would say some threats for Arts Collective was pretty much the funding aspect. It's like the money was getting cut and whatnot, and it was getting cut from $60,000 to $5,000. they applied for a $10,000 grant, which a $10,000 grant, which they didn't get. But as well for Arts Collective, I want to say a lot of people want to probably put an investment into Arts Collective because I personally believe they're terrible with money. But as for them as an organization, it shows that they're terrible with money. So it's like if I was an investor, if I wanted to invest into you, I probably would be hesitant to invest into you. Threats of substitutes, right? So some of these threats are more low-key threats. It's pretty much the threats that can happen like on a daily, like, you know, some of the threats would be, you know, losing volunteers, or, you know, or staff, not even just volunteers, staff, untrained volunteers, failure to secure significant financials, that includes grants and donation, you know, making sure donors and aids are, you know, consistent with the contributions, you know, failing to develop a clear and, you know, a prestige business plan, or failure to following up with the assistant plan. That's probably one of the most key factor. One, just sticking with it and trying to go around and reiterate what the plan was originally for from the get-go. So yeah, in conclusion, I feel like this strategic plan will actually, you know, give Arts Collective a sense of direction and guidance to ensure new changes throughout the company, as well using the 4D analyst and applying the 4 elements to create, you know, a better environment for staff, and as well, you know, using the Portify forces to understand the surroundings of the organization and focus on, you know, the complements of the organization to pursue it to be, you know, a better organization than the rest. So that is my presentation, and I appreciate you guys being patient with me. Thank you. Have a good day.